when I was 10 years old and my father turned 40, my mother brought out a cake with a single candle. I asked my father why he didn't have more candles. He said, "Son, life begins again at 40. Unfortunately, he was only 62 when he died. But I learned a lesson. When I reached 40, I decided to start counting backward. The next year, I turned 39. Guess what? I just celebrated my 17th birthday. How's that for optimism? Which is what this story is really about. As a young man, I was an optimist and an idealist. I had a can-do attitude and a good ear for opportunity knocking. Gradually, these traits opened doors for me. Nothing came easy, but I struggled forward. Eventually, I became a firefighter and a paramedic. I earned a reasonable income. Now I have a modest retirement. And I had a lot of fun on the way, because my line of work was anything but boring. Alas, youth is not eternal, and neither was my idealistic optimism. It is said that firefighters are fools who rush into burning buildings while everyone else is rushing out. My wife Bonnie, who's here tonight, is very knowledgeable in these matters. She says we are risk takers, thrill-seeking personalities. Maybe so. Perhaps that's what motivates youth. But to survive in that job, not as a fool, but as a professional, I learned to manage risk with a combination of training and experience. I learned what can and cannot be saved, when to cut losses and when to run, how to get out before a building collapses, or when to terminate CPR and pronounce someone dead. As I learned my lessons, the eagerness of my youth gave way to prudence. My eternal optimism gave way to what? Pragmatism? I don't have a term yet for this stage of my being. I have learned that if the problem of youth is not knowing enough, the problem of my age is knowing too much. I know what can go wrong, so I worry that it will. Irma Bombeck joked that worry is like a rocking chair. It gives a man something to do, but doesn't get him anywhere. Sure thing, Emma, but if I fall out of a rocking chair, I'll break a hip. See, the problem is I know too much. I'm not sure what happens if I keep counting backward on my birthdays and hit 0. I can worry about that problem when I get there. And perhaps if I make it to 0, I will have the wisdom of old age that comes from finding a balance between extremes. And I plan to stay out of rocking chairs.